Solomon's temple was the most beautiful building in the ancient world. It took him 7 years to build. They used the best cedars from Lebanon. They used the best stone cut from the best quarry. And on the inside, the paneling was covered with gold, etched with little bells and flowers and angels carved into it. It was beautiful. And it took him 7 years, with thousands of people working on this thing, to finish the project. Paul says that we are God's temple. And I don't know about you, but I get impatient with God building me into a temple. I am far from being a finished product. I've got tons of rough edges and anxiety and stresses and bad habits and selfishness and impatience. And I just want to be that finished temple. Not so that people will look at me and be like, wow, he's great, but so that I will look at me and be like, okay, good. I'm covered in gold. The roof doesn't leak. I can handle these crazy things that are happening in my life without freaking out. I have arrived. I'm a finished product. And I'm not there. You know, Jesus told parables about seeds and how these seeds would grow and over a whole year go from a tiny seed to a fruitful plant. Or a mustard seed going to a tree big enough to hold birds and nests and produce flowers and fruit. And that takes time. And I don't like that. I want to be done. I read Bible stories where these great men and women of God do amazing things, or where the fruits of the Spirit are love, joy, peace. And I'm like, great, that's awesome. I want the fruit. And God says, well, the fruit can't come from a seed. It takes time to grow and mature. And when Solomon broke the ground to build the temple, and when he hauled in these massive stones to build the foundation, I wonder if he looked at it and said, okay, I want it to be done. But then he had to wait. Just like you and me. We gotta wait. We're not done. And maybe you're like me, and if you looked at yourself 5 years ago and compared that to who you are now, you'd be like, wow, I've really grown. I've matured. And in 5 years from now, you'll look back at yourself today and say, whoa, I'm way better than I used to be. But if you're like me, you struggle with feeling okay with being where you're at. Maybe you're like me and you struggle with perfectionism and you see what you should be, and when you're not, it's frustrating. And then you just got to look up and say, all right, God, you said you who began a good work in me will carry it on until the day of completion. And that day of completion has not arrived, but you promised that you won't quit on me, that you will complete it, that the temple will be finished, that the seed will grow and mature. You know, the biblical word for perfection is maturity, not perfection where there's nothing wrong. So when Paul says, be perfect like God is perfect, he's saying, grow into the maturity of God's perspective, of God's methods, of God's way of living. And I'm not there. And you're not there. And that's okay. Because God's not finished with me. And he's not finished with you. And he's going to continue to work on us until when people look at us, they will see the reflection of Jesus' character of selfless love. And I think that's why we're called to trust. Not just trust God with crazy things that are happening in our world, but also trust God when we look at ourselves and we're like, I am not good enough. I am not perfect. I am not like Christ. To trust in God, because we've asked Him to come into our hearts. We've asked Him to help us with our bad habits and our anxiety and our stress. And God says, I've got this. Trust me with big things like coronavirus, but also trust me with big things like your character. And so today I ask you to stand with me and don't look at yourself, but look up. And when you see your character, say, God's got this. Please share this video with someone else in your life who struggles with perfection. And subscribe to this channel so you can get encouraging videos every day. Because every day I need to hear that God's got this. Because He does. God bless.